This is WBZ TV Channel 4 Boston, and it is time now for First 4 News, the 5:30 p.m. edition on this Friday, March 5th, 1976, with Jack Williams and Pat Mitchell, Roger Travel and Sports, and Bruce Schwegel Weber. Here now, Jack Williams. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jack Williams, and here's what's up and on the Eyewitness News. First 4 News at 5:30 p.m. on this Friday afternoon, March 5th, 1976. Going into Friday evening.
Cambridge at this hour. It follows a stop.
Top story at 5:30 is Boston State College campus. Police have engaged in widespread political surveillance of suspected activists, students, and teachers at the school. Several former and present members of the college police force have told the Globe. Dan Ray has a report. As director of superiors, the officer said today of her photographed descendants listened to meetings about air decks infiltrated activist groups compelled.
During a prison visit was
just years and tallied some campus radicals in 73, 74, and 75. Moreover, the offices of two activist history teachers were entered without authorization at least 12 times each, in search of incriminating documents, according to one of the officers who admitted the breaks and who would not allow his name to be used for fear of criminal prosecution. It cannot be determined if the surveillance that was alleged with the continued at the school. Two school officials denied the use of political surveillance. That denial was echoed by the men's immediate supervisor, but they later conceded some spying had been taking place indeed. Their superior, Captain Sal Balstracci, whom the men said ordered much of the activity and initially denied that there was been any political surveillance at Boston State, which has
to pay more money for these things.
A history of student disruptions. In a second interview a day later, however, Balstracci admitted that there had been what it called a Mickey Mouse political surveillance at the school. He refused to elaborate. William T. Morrissey, the school's director of the planning and development, and Balstracci's superior, and Boston State President Kermit Morrissey have denied that there has been any spying on students and teachers. The Globe, however, has been shown documents which support the contention of George J. Cochran. Dan Ray, First 4 News at Boston State College. See this photos of 10 aspiring Democratic presidential nomination candidates, and 3 of them have stepped down. Burke Bay of Indiana, Senator Terry Sanford from North Carolina, and Lloyd Bentsen from Texas here. And this person, Sergeant Shriver, also thinking of reassessing. As the New York Senator Burke Bay of Indiana ended his quest for the Democratic presidential nomination yesterday, saying that he just gets so tired of being everybody's second choice. Bay announced that he suspended his campaign but refused for the time being to endorse any of a liberal candidate who will run in the April 6th New York primary, most notably Representative Morris K. Udall of Arizona or former Senator Frank Harris of Oklahoma. During the campaigns for the Massachusetts primary, in which he finished 7th with only 5% of the vote, Bayer frequently referred to Udall as the second most favored candidate. Yesterday, however, Bayer said that it would be premature to endorse any of the remaining Democratic contenders and that I don't want to throw my weight around. He said, as we get closer to the nominating process, I will have a personal responsibility to make my position known.
The study blames the improving economy and more big companies.
A year-long investigation in Massachusetts civil service system shows 62 alleged violations of law and hiring practices that resulted in more than one person being denied jobs, the Dukakis administration said yesterday. The report was released in an afternoon press conference yesterday by Governor Michael S. Dukakis. He said that it shows a pattern of abuse and manipulation and clear violation of the merit principles underlined in the Commonwealth's personnel system. Practices were followed which favored a few selected applicants at the expense of many others. Dukakis said medical and physical fitness standards for particular positions were waived. Examinations were delayed in order to allow non-civil service employees to remain in their jobs, and important provisions of civil service laws, which calls for uniform grading of all applicants, were ignored. He said that administrative changes in the state's personnel administration against the agency should guard against future abuses. The findings were outlined in a 50-page report prepared under the direction of Administration Secretary John R. Buckley, who joined the caucus at the news conference. The governor said that the report concludes an investigation which, under the former director Edward W. Powers, although a probe of alleged payoffs were continued, the only evidence produced so far at the allegations of payoffs is circumstantially added. The report alleged that Mabel A. Campbell, who preceded Powers in the director's job, played a role in the disclosed amount of the 62 alleged violations of law. She is described as having demonstrated for many years a definite pattern of presence to the legislature request. Mrs. Campbell could not be reached yesterday for a reply. The sale of $530 million of Massachusetts bonds is due to be completed in a day to end in the debt crisis which has faced the state.
That's not tough enough. We've had back-to-back snowstorms, not to mention bitter cold.
Yeah, from personal
personal experience, I will tell you, it has not been. You've been doing a lot.
Senate Majority Leader Mike Mansfield, Democrat of Montana and Washington, announced yesterday he will retire from the Senate this year. He has served as Majority Leader since 1961, longer than anyone before. Mansfield will be 73 this month, set to go that he is not a decisive factor and that he is in good health and a clear mind, and his interest in the Senate remains deep. But he said there is a time for stay and a time to go. 34 years in the House and Senate is not a long time, but it's time enough. Soon after Mansfield delivered a 6-minute speech to the Senate, speculation began his successor. U.S. Senator Emmett Muskie, Democrat of Maine, announced that he will seek the Majority Leader post and will be asking support of his Democratic colleagues. Muskie, who ran for the presidency in 1972, has been receiving praise from the senators for his role as chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. In a chamber filled with hustling, grinning, and self-importance and ambition, he was an island of serenity and selflessness, mountain of Nolan's appraisal of Mansfield. Washington administration officials have tentatively decided on certain specific additional arms for Egypt. The Congress endorses the sale of 6 C-130 air transport according to well-placed sources. Certain that the additional arms are non-lethal, the sources said they are included in transport helicopters, communication equipment, mine detectors, and target drones. The issue is expected to generate a major debate in Congress, not so much over the transport planes as such as over prospects that the new arms relationship will inevitably lead to Egyptian pressure to supply advanced missiles and combat aircraft that cannot be used in a new war with Israel. In fact, 11 different categories of arms are under consideration, ranging from transport to missiles and fighter bombers.
I couldn't be more excited to be running for sponsor.
Paul Newman likes a 6-pack of beer by his side. Barbara Streisand won't drive in anything but her own Bentley. David Frost turned up late for his own show often, and Marlon Brando is freaky about barbecued steaks. 20 icon chauffeur through the celebs, they all swell people. Some of them, of course, are sweller than others. Ina Corn is discreet, amazingly discreet, considered his native Brooklyn gift for Gavin and his easy friendliness. For 12 years, he's been chauffeur to the biggest stars around New York City, first as an owner of his own limo company, then 3 years ago when most of the top shows went off literally and business fell off. He is a driver for a Parkview limo service in New York. Now his biggest customer is the Mike Douglas show, hauling guests up and down the New Jersey Turnpike from Manhattan, tape his show in Philadelphia.
This week's A+ takes us to Lynn.
Coming up next at 5:30, the special young man who is not letting it.
MIT student Esther J. Hort demonstrates her trombone technique to pair of cues taught at the Technology Nursery School in Cambridge. MIT concert band in which Mrs. Hort plays will give concert at Sunday to benefit the Technology Children's Center Incorporated. The photo from MIT. Washington. The nation received another piece of good economic news yesterday as wholesale prices, a precursor of prices consumer must eventually pay, tumbled 0.5% last month, mainly because of the sharp declines in food and fuel costs. It was the 4th consecutive month that the wholesale prices improved. The Department of Labor said wholesale prices have been falling at an annual rate of 3.8% for the past 3 months. The steady improvement in prices and employment in recent months have given the administration new confidence about the state of the economy in the election year. Alan Greenspan, the chairman of the President's Council of Economic Advisors, told reporters yesterday that brightening economic prospects could lower the unemployment rate. Boston was first liberated 200 years ago. That intriguing story of events that led to the liberation is told in Washington's first victory and a special 80-page bicentennial section in the Sunday's Boston Globe. Washington's first victory, winner by John Harris, opens with General George Washington taking command of the Continental Army at Cambridge and ends with a British fleeing from Boston Harbor. It includes a tale of intrigue that unraveled with the discovery of a coded letter and led to the arrest of the nation's first super spy, plus a vivid account of the Battle of Georgia attacks. The 4th in the series of the Boston Globe Bicentennial Series, Washington's first victory also contains several maps, sketches, and paintings, including portraits of Washington and others involved in the Revolution. Alright, sports time now. Here now, Roger Travell. Okay, thank you, Jack and Pat. Tonight, the Boston Celtics will be down in New Orleans land, taking on the New Orleans Jazz. In the game, you can see right here on the sister station, WBZ Radio 1030 at 8:30. And the Boston Bruins will be out in Oakland, taking on the California Seals. In the game, you can see on our sister station, WBZ Radio at 11 p.m. The Bruins brought their road show to Oakland yesterday, where they'll meet the California Seals tonight at 11:05 p.m. Boston time on BZ Radio, and Captain Johnny Busick expects a tough game, tougher than Los Angeles. The reason? The Seals have just come off a winless 4-game road trip and they're be hungry at home. Coach Don Cherry will have Giles Gilbert in goal and won 17 consecutive games on an official NHL record, and will be continued to rotate his 5-man defense squad. Our defensemen are really playing well, said Busick here, and we lost and 2 best defensemen in the whole bloody league and all the ever. Guys come through. Dougie Hallward keeps looking good and when he catches onto our system, he'll get better. Hallward is a rookie defenseman brought up from Rochester 4 games ago, and Gilbert said of him, he'll be playing so well. I think we'll have to say with us, that was before Gilbert or anyone else knew that Brad Park would have to have knee surgery. That operation is scheduled for this morning in Boston, which it did. Buse again was talking about Bobby Orr and Park when he spoke about hockey's 2 best defensemen. But said Buse, Howard would have definitely helped us, and we'll got Al Sims at Rochester who can help too, and Al Smith, he's playing. So, well, a sore back, well, it takes more than a sore back to keep Dallas out of the lineup. Smith himself isn't too worried about his back. He thinks it'll be a muscle, even though it's big suspicion it could be a disc problem. Atlanta, we interrupt this tale of road to bring you an even greater tale of woe. Maybe the Celtics won't win any more games for a couple of weeks or so, but they won't have John Havlicek either, while his mates will attempt to prevent the second 3-game losing streak of the season from becoming a reality in the Superdome tonight against the New Orleans Jazz. Havlicek will be listening to Johnny Mills back home in Weston on BZ Radio. He injured his left knee against the 76ers on Wednesday and missed last night's game. He flew home this morning at examination by team physician Dr. Thomas Silva, as well as orthopedic surgeon Dr. Robert Leach. Playing without Havlicek, the Celtics snoozed for 3 more periods against the Hawks last night, thus making it 7 consecutive quarters without so much as a 1-point lead. But spurred on, possibly even embarrassed by the hustle play of people like Kevin Steckham, Jerome Anderson, and Jim Hart. They somehow rallied from an 18-point deficit, 82-6-12 last period deficit at the Omni last night before falling by a 103-98 score. They finished the game without Tom Heinsohn also, but he didn't deserve his fate this time. Referee Ken Faulkner bounced Heinsohn with a second technical foul with 59 seconds left in the score tied after a Heinsohn protest of a 3-second call on Charles Struck, which raced a nice driving basket by Ard, which would have given him Boston lead. "You're really doing so much," said Dave Collins, who spent the evening in the steady company of the Atlanta Hawk, whoever was in the possible exception of Thomas Payne. Indeed, with Hanson's previously untimely texts have largely begun due to physical acts, this one was a Norway rowdy.
This week's A+. I'm Jim Locate, WCBB News Center 5. I assume you're
Hey, good luck there, Evan.
We're even. Spring will be a little late this year, and young Steve Dillon isn't. So let's be happy about it.
Right now at WCB.
Len Berman has a report from Fort Myers.
As seen on.
It Warrior 3 said the 25-year-old infielder yesterday, "The longer spring training is delayed, the shorter time I have to prove that I can play. Sure, I came here on my own, but I thought the whole thing will be over by now." There were only 6 Red Sox working out yesterday at Winter Haven High School. 5 of them didn't have to be concerned about how hard they work, but still does he needs all the time he can get to strengthen his ailing right arm. Taylor and has been bothered for over 2 years by a mysterious ailment. The Red Sox say that they can throw. There might be a place for him on the 25-man roster at a utility infielder. "I really haven't seen him since his college days," said John Claiborne, his Sox assistant general manager, who is only a Boston front office figure here, "but I can recall him being an excellent shortstop. I saw him in the instructional league the last spring, and he wasn't front well then. But they told me that it's much better than it was been. The thing I like about him is the speed and his heads-up approach to the game. He has good basketball knowledge and baseball knowledge in the 3 games I saw. He didn't show a lot of power, but when he got on, he did little things like taking the extra base and moving from the first to third. Little things that will win ball games. Still would like to win a spot in the Sox roster, but knows his arm was improved and he'll be back playing AA ball in Bristol, which has zero morale and experience from him last year. When out in the arm feels fine, he said, really the best is in 3 years. I just hope that continues to get strong because I'd really like to make the team, but I won't. No, there won't be any main vacancies. I worked at the second base in the instructional league, but if my arm is healthy, I can play shortstop. I don't know about being a backup man. I've never had to try to do that, but I like to try. Dill's problems go back a long way, perhaps through his college days at Mississippi. He injured an elbow during the sophomore year and adjusted his prone to compensate. He didn't really catch up with him until the winter of '74 when his arm suddenly went lame and he had an operation. He showed normal improvement this year, but last season started the year by again undergoing surgery. It proved to be a rough year as Dill was dropped from Pawtucket down to Bristol. They thought if they couldn't cut away some useless ligaments that might straighten the things out, said Dill, but it didn't. And what's worse, I started pressing then and expected with everything I did. Not only did I have trouble throwing, I started making errors and I wasn't hitting. I dropped to 194 and they sent me back to Bristol. I batted about 280 there and made it back to the Red Sox for the last month. I got in for the last game. The eventual cure for Dill may be muscle building machine recommendation by Dr. Howard Silva of the Boston Doctor. It is most often found in basketball catch where rehabilitation of muscles take place, sometimes of the matter of weeks. It might take a little longer for Dillard. When I first started, Dillard said I wasn't sure what I was doing. It works like a system and pulleys, and my arm was actually too weak for it. Then after about a week, I went to a chiropractor and he told me what adjustments to make. Pretty soon I got the hang of it, and I can see the improvement of the strength of my arm. Dillard's arm sometimes does look stronger, but Dwight Evans pitched in battle. Ben in practice yesterday couldn't resist the urge when one of Dillard's throws from the outfield came in on 4 hops. Same on Dillard, he said. Len Berman, TV4 Eyewitness Sports from Winter Haven with the Red Sox. Here.
Parents for financial support, tuition, and
Also in Winter Haven, speaking of Dwight Evans, he met Red Sox assistant general manager John Claiborne yesterday in the parking lot
But Rachel
at Chain Lake Stadium. They started chatting in less than a half hour. Evans agreed to one
disagree.
on the contract terms. Evans signed a 1-year pact, leaving the number of unsigned Red Sox players at 9. The Sox right fielder received a raise and said that he was pleased with the terms. We weren't that far apart in the first place, he said. I'm just happy to get it over with, and I'll be happy when Freddie Lynn signs. We have the greatest outfield in baseball with him, and Jim Rice, I really believe that. Actually, it was very light yesterday at 6 players worked out to the Winter Haven High School. There was some batting practice, but the accident was on placing on the ball since the players had to provide their own balls. Things are expected to pick up tomorrow with General Manager Dick O'Connell expected in town. Tom House acquired the Roger Moore deal right yesterday.
You and your families.
And negotiations for owners and players meet today in an attempt to reach agreement on a new labor contract, but the two sides appear nearly as far apart as now as they were in the first session. 24 minutes ago, the stumbling block remains the issue of whether the Players Association can reach a settlement with the owners that would be binding all its members. The union says that an agreement on the reserve rules might be challenged in the courts by a small minority of the players. Risky does not want to take. The owners say that the union has a responsibility to take that risk. The players would have an offer plan that would allow free agency with after 6 years one team, but the owners are insisting on 8 full years of major league service and free agency in the 10th year. Because the arbitrator Peter cites the summary decision every play not on a multi-year contract, maybe been a free agent in the next 2 years.
Overhaul. Gone are the obscure words. Penalties for wrong answers.
Arcadia,
Eliminated.
California. Jockey Bill Shoemaker needed just 4 winners to reach 7,000 for his entire career. Called in sick at Santa Anita yesterday and withdrew from all his matches. The veteran rider was scheduled to ride again today. New Haven. They had to bury their bosoms to do so, but members of the women's crew at Yale have their separate but unequal showers back. Marching in the office of Physical Education Director Joni Barrett yesterday, the 19 crew members took off all of their clothes and masks. Then, with the legend title 9 written across their bare chests and backs in blue paint, the University College Day stood at the edge wall. Their captain, Chris Stearns of Wilmette, Illinois, with a statement demanding showers facilities equal to those of the men's crew. The Title 9 referred to a federal ruling requiring equal facilities for women's athletic teams. During the first 2 seasons, the women's crew finished 3rd and 2nd in the national championships. Ernst and another crew member, Ann Warner of Lexington, Massachusetts, were members of the U.S. national team. Members of the men's crew used showers at the Yale Boathouse along the Houstonic River in nearby Derby, Leicester. The women had access to 4 showers and in the Rendon Truck Trail, an arrangement they regarded inadequate, not to mention unequal this year. However, they had not yet any showers at the site shortly after yesterday's demonstration and truck trail outfilled with the showers of 6 staff arrived near the boathouse. It was purely coincidence. Yale Athletic Director Delaney Kipwood said Adenini was sympathetic to the women's situation. The trail had been arranged for some time ago.
Is called 2014 DX110. It's
San Francisco. 3 hours of cross-examination by a defense attorney yesterday failed to shake Joe Cap in his $450,000 damage trial against the Patriots in the National Football League. James McKay of Washington, D.C., one of 6 attorneys for the defense went out for Graham, previously covered at John Hanger of San Francisco, one of Cap's attorneys. Wednesday and yesterday failed to elicit a single contradiction from the former star quarterback.
Sad that we haven't had many warm days.
Cap admitted to McKay that the start of his pro career that he signed standard player contracts with the Calgary St. Peters and the British Columbia Lions of the playing football league because you can't play football unless you sign their contract. At the yard of the NFL's case that is virtually that point that a player must sign a standard player contract to play football. Cap returned refused to sign a contract with the Patriots on an advice with his attorney. He claimed at the time he had signed a memorandum of agreement with the Pats and that was good enough, but Wazell wasn't allowed it, and Cap was locked out of the Pats training camp in July 1971.
That is very common, right along the leading edge.
The Massachusetts Medical Society wants the state to require youth hockey
So it does happen.
program players to use a full face mask in order to cut down on eye injuries. Dr. John Duff of Denver said the society say hockey injuries increased to 30,000 to 40,000 last year. An alarming 33% of you cover their face will be almost certainly remove any possibility of blindness. Jesse Freitas, San Diego quarterback, is after Ed Garvey again. He says he'll move to fire the Players Association with executive director this week, and all his disputes are doing is keeping the name in front of the public. The little-known Freitas said, President Ford's people don't agree apparently on how much, if anything, the United States should spend on the 1980 Winter Olympics. At length, Fawcett, Congress has been asked to hold off on a decision about Michael T. Harrigan, the executive director. The President's Commission on Olympic Sports told the same Congressional Committee yesterday failed to provide $50 million in international and domestic reimbursement. The Minutemen and the North American Soccer League will hope to play 6 home games at Brown Stadium in Providence this year. Maybe out of luck, the university wants out of because of the reaction from homeowners in the area. The rest of the games are due to be held at Harvard Stadium. Mexico expects to be suspended from Davis Cup play for refusing to play South Africa because of their latter's racial policies and will seek boycott of the games by other countries. Funeral services will be held tomorrow for famed golf and trick shot Paul Hon, who died of heart ailment at 57 in Florida earlier. The Buffalo Braves have strengthened out their dispute with the city over the use of the Memorial Auditorium. West Newton's Charles Reeve Jr. Rink suffered its first loss 6-5 in the U.S. Men's County Association National Championship in Wisconsin. Harry Hopman, Australia's renowned tennis coach, will conduct 9 leading teaching sessions at the Native Credit Club on Friday and Saturday next week, with proceeds going to the free intercity program for the juniors at the Sportsman's Tennis Club. The Arms Globetrotters will make an appearance at the Garden much strength without the Celtics. It's the first time they have been booked alone. And that's sports. I'm Roger Trubell. And you now, Bruce Schregler with the weather. Take away, Mr. Bruce. Okay, thank you very much, Roger. It was a spring-like day today. Wow. You could get out with your bat and you could play a little ball. Anticipating spring. Oh my, it's a spring-like day in Boston today. Right now, our current conditions at
The mildest weather we're going to have this week.
5.
Interesting because Saturday's temperatures could get
30 in here at Boston, Massachusetts. We got a temperature of 60 degrees. We're at a dew point about 50 degrees. Humidity 69%. Barometer 20% 1 inches. Visibly 8 miles wind southwest about.
And then Tuesday, that also looks like
22 gusts and 20 minutes overcast skies. We reach up to 66 degrees about 2 o'clock here.
check out the high temperature.
Alright, let's take a look at our current conditions around the region. It is 60 degrees out temperature right now in Worcester, 58 out in Chicopee, 59 in Westfield and in Hartford, 50 in Providence, 49 in Bedford, 50 out in Falmouth, it's 59 in Hartford, 53 in New Haven, 55 out in Bridgeport, 69 degrees in New York City, 63 in Albany, 50 in Rutland and Lebanon, New Hampshire, 58 out in Montreal, Vermont, 55 in Burlington, Vermont, 58 in Concord, New Hampshire, 63 in Pottsville, New Hampshire, 50 in Portland, Maine, 42 in Brunswick, Maine, 45 in Augusta, Maine, and 40 in Bangor, Maine. It was a beautiful spring-like day today.
In San Francisco, way back.
Weather-wise, running the nation today shows a line of
News for the couple that found them.
rain showers from central Gulf Coast stretching down to the Appalachians and stretching on Pennsylvania, upstate New York, up to northern New England there, while some rain showers around southern Florida. Cold front from Louisiana stretching it up into Mississippi down to central Tennessee and Kentucky, up to Ohio and down to eastern Great Lakes, and finally the warm front from eastern Quebec stretching down for southern Quebec down for Maine, bringing some showers and a few rumbles of thunder to these areas, and we can get a taste of the rain sometime on Saturday or Sunday. And we behind the front, snow showers in northern Wisconsin and in Michigan and up in the Ontario. Behind the front, some colder temperatures right there. And some snow showers in northern Arizona and New Mexico, down for western Texas, down for southern Colorado, down for Utah here. While it's mild in Arizona and New Mexico, part of it is the cold side of you get the snow down in the southwestern corner of the state here, of the region here. High pressure centered in Kansas here. Okay, let's take a look at our forecast for Boston area. Will go like this for tonight. Occasional rain likely. Low around 40 degrees. Tomorrow, rain ending in the morning and continued mostly cloudy, highs in the 50s. Probably precipitation is 40% today and 60% tonight. Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and occasional rain likely tonight and then early tomorrow. Partial clearing in the central and west portion tomorrow afternoon. Low tonight around 40 High tomorrow in the 50s, around 16 degrees. The Cape Cod Islands. Occasional rain likely tonight and tomorrow morning. Low tonight around 40 degrees. High tomorrow in the 50s, probably a precipitation is 40% today and 6% tonight. Winds becoming southerly about 10 and 50 miles per hour today and southwesterly about 10 and 20 miles per hour tonight. For New Hampshire, Maine, showers and flurries likely tonight. Lows mid-20s to mid-30s. Flurries likely north and parts of sunny south tomorrow. Vermont. Chance of thunderstorms tonight. Highs the 40s in north, low 50s south, and lows tonight mid to upper 30s, and highs tomorrow around the upper 30s. Extended forecast for Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Fair Sunday, increase of cloudiness on Monday. Chance of showers Tuesday and rather cold Sunday with highs in upper 30s. Rising temperatures thereafter reaching in the 40s on Monday and Tuesday overnight, lows in the 20s. Early Sunday morning, rising in the mid to upper 30s by. Early Monday and early Tuesday morning, Maine and New Hampshire, fair Sunday and Monday, chance of showers Tuesday. Has mid-20s to 30s in north and 30s in the mid-40s south, lows 5 to 15 north and then 15 to 25 south. Vermont, fair but cool Sunday, warmer Monday and Tuesday with showers Monday night and continuing into Tuesday, highs in the 30s Sunday and in the 40s north and 50s south, and Monday and Tuesday overnight lows in the 30s. Sunset 5:30 p.m. about 17 minutes ago. Moonset 10:25 p.m. Tonight headlines about 5:43 p.m. Done about 12 minutes ago. Where? Low tide 8:12 p.m. with 0.4 feet. First full moon March 8th at 11:29 p.m. Full moon March 15th 9:53 p.m. Last full moon March 22nd at 1:36 p.m. and new moon March 30th 12:08 p.m. That's it for my Bruce Straggler.
It's not that odd to go to the doctor.
And that is going to be it for the first 4 news at 5:30 on this March 5th, 1976. I'm Jack Williams alongside Pat Mitchell and Bruce and
New Center Fox Kimberly Boatman shows us.
Roger said, have a good evening. Coming next after the commercial break will be Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock in about 4 minutes, and it starts after the commercial break. Have a good evening.
Listen on hands.